If you were a sports fan in the 1990s, you're familiar with this player, Ken Griffey Jr., one of the greatest baseball players of all time. You are also then probably aware of the fact that Ken Griffey Jr. played alongside with his father, Ken Griffey Sr. They were on the same baseball team, the Seattle Mariners, for 2 seasons from 1990 to 1991. They famously hit back-to-back home runs once and both played in the same outfield next to each other for many games over those 2 seasons. I'm not too familiar with the other major professional leagues in America, but to my knowledge, Major League Baseball has the only occurrence of a father and son playing together. Their presence on the field together is famous in baseball lore, has spun a documentary on MLB Network, and is one of the greatest stories in professional sports history. They were not the only father-son duo though. As crazy as it sounds, there was one other instance of a father and son playing Major League Baseball together for the same team in the same game. Everybody knows about the Griffeys playing together, but from personal experience, hardly anyone knows about the other father-son duo that played together. This other father-son pair also features a Hall of Famer and actually happened more recently than the Griffeys' time together. The second and most recent occurrence of a father and son playing Major League Baseball together occurred in 2001. You may have heard of the father in this duo. His name is Tim Raines, a Hall of Fame left fielder. His son's name? Tim Raines Jr. Tim Raines had a long storied career. He played in 23 seasons from 1979 to 2002. He played mostly for the Montreal Expos, but also spent time with several other teams, notably the White Sox and Yankees. Over his career, Raines collected over 2,600 hits, over 800 stolen bases, nearly 70 WAR, and has a slash line of .294 with a .385 on base and a .425 slugging for an .810 OPS and 123 adjusted OPS. He has the second most stolen bases in the 1980s, only trailing Rickey Henderson. His 133 adjusted OPS of the 1980s ranks 14th out of 182 among players with at least 3,000 plate appearances. He was one of the greatest leadoff hitters of all time, is 5th on the leaderboard for career stolen bases, and rightfully was elected into the Hall of Fame in 2017. Tim Raines Jr. had a much shorter career. He only mustered 174 career plate appearances across 75 games from 2001 to 2004, all with the Baltimore Orioles. Over that limited time, he was not that good. However, despite the limited playing career, Raines Jr. was part of something special and grand. He made his Major League debut at the very end of the 2001 season, appearing in 7 games for the Orioles. At the time of Raines Jr.'s debut on October 1st, Raines Sr. was finishing an injury-shortened season with the Montreal Expos. It was his first season in Montreal since 1990, and he was limited to only 100 plate appearances. With just a week left in the 2001 season, the Expos and Orioles were each finishing the season with over 90 losses. At the moment of Raines Jr.'s debut, Tim Raines Sr., Expos general manager Jim Beattie, and Orioles vice president Sid Thrift all came together to complete a trade, sending Tim Raines to Baltimore where he could play alongside his son. The idea for the trade came from Beattie, who proposed it as a way to give back to Raines as he gave so much for the Expos many years prior. On October 3, 2001, the Orioles acquired Tim Raines Sr. from the Expos with just 5 games left in the season. In the 7th inning of the game that day, Raines Jr. led off the inning with a walk. After a sacrifice and another walk, Tim Raines Sr. came in to pinch hit with his son on second base. That moment became just the second time ever a father and son played together in the same game. In the following game, the Raines, just like the Griffeys, took the field together. Raines Jr. in center and Raines Sr. in left. Overall, the father and son played in 4 games together. They didn't hit back-to-back home runs like the Griffeys, but they didn't have to. It's an incredible honor and privilege for a father and son to have the opportunity to play alongside together, sharing a bond that's special and unique. Raines Sr. made his Major League debut on September 11, 1979, just 2 weeks after Raines Jr. was born, and stayed around long enough to watch his own son follow him in his footsteps. In a 23-year Hall of Fame career packed to the brim with highlights, clutch hitting, playoff accomplishments, and more, I'd like to think playing baseball with his son was Raines Sr.'s favorite moment in his baseball career.